All right, welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world famous As It Should Be studios. And, well, as I'm standing here talking to my phone, it's Paul McCartney's birthday. Yeah, it's June 18th, Sunday, June 18th, as I'm shooting, and, but probably not as you're seeing this. I'm probably not going to get this video up tonight, but I am looking to have it up tomorrow. It'll probably go up on Monday as a Monday video. So, so I'm a little late, but what are you going to do? So it's been a full year. Strangely, it doesn't seem like it's been a year, but it's been a whole year since I did my ranking video of Paul McCartney albums, right? Well, this year on Paul McCartney's birthday, I'm going to be ranking my top 20 favorite Paul McCartney songs, okay? And post-Beatles, I'm going totally post-Beatles because if I had to include Beatles songs, it would get really messy and it would get way too difficult. And honestly, it was too difficult to get merely 20 and just going post-Beatles, so yeah. All right, so I'm going Wings and Paul McCartney solo. And, you know what? I was going to say let's get started, but you know what? Before we get started, I'm just going to say, for all you people watching who are going to get all offended by my opinions, it's just my opinion. I'm not officially establishing the law on what is the best. It's just the songs that I like the most, in the order that I like them. You can like them however you want. You can hate all of my preferences. You can whatever. But just my opinion. You're just going to have to deal with it. But of course, most people are cool about it. I mean, when they come and express their disagreement, they're respectable about it. But there's always that one guy who comes in, this is a fucking joke, man. Yeah, but you know what? You're right. It is, because it's not to be taken all that seriously. It's just fun. Don't take it so seriously. All right? Having said that, let's get started. Okay, it's coming in number 20. Beware My Love. Yeah, Beware My Love from the Wings at the Speed of Sound album from 1976. Now, Wings at the Speed of Sound is not one of my favorite Wings albums, but there are definitely some songs on this album that I really, really love, one of which is this. And I first heard this song on the Wings Over America album. Yeah, I mean, I had Wings Over America in the mid-70s. I got that when it was new. And that's how I knew a lot of those songs. I mean, most of the album tracks from Speed of Sound and Venus and Mars, I knew from that album. So I knew only the live versions for quite a while. And you know how it is, whatever version you first heard is like the one that's the best, you know? And, luckily when I finally did end up hearing the studio versions of a lot of these, I ended up really liking them. And this is definitely one of those instances. I mean, I think Beware My Love is an absolutely great, underrated, is it a deep cut? It's deepish, I guess. And Linda sounds great on it. Yeah. Beware My Love, number 20. Okay, it's coming in number 19. Magneto and Titanium Man. Yeah, from the Venus and Mars album, 1975. And man, the Venus and Mars album is chock full of McCartney tracks that I absolutely love. I mean, spoiler alert, there are going to be a few from this album on this list. But this also was one of the tracks that one of the songs that I first knew from the live album. And that I was pleasantly surprised when I heard the studio version, and I ended up, it's been a long time since I've heard the live version, but I think I prefer the studio version. Actually, I don't even know if I can definitively say right now, but yeah, Magneto and Titanium Man. Now, I'm not a comic book guy. I'm not a Marvel or a comic book guy in general, so I didn't know for the longest time that Magneto and Titanium Man and Crimson Dynamo were actual characters. I mean, I thought McCartney made those up. I thought he made them up for the song. Kind of like Dan Dare, the Elton John song. Yeah, I didn't know Dan Dare wasn't something that Bernie Taupin made up. He's actually a real character. I mean, who knew? Not me. But yeah, Magneto and Titanium Man, great kind of quirky McCartney tune. I really especially love the bridge on that. Yeah. Always loved that one. Magneto and Titanium Man. Okay, it's coming in number 18, also on the Venus and Mars album. You Gave Me the Answer. Yeah, You Gave Me the Answer. Now, this is one of McCartney's music hall tracks, kind of in the tradition of Honey Pie. But I like this one much more. I love this much, much more than Honey Pie. And yet another track that I first heard on Wings Over America. And I love both versions. But yeah, I really, really love this. And this is one of those tracks where I think, had the Beatles made a record around this time, this could easily have been on a 75 Beatles album, I think, or I would have liked to have heard it, that's for sure. Yeah. You Gave Me the Answer. Right, coming in number 17, Let 'Em In. Yeah, Let 'Em In, one of the great singles from Speed of Sound. Now, this song is a really excellent example of a song that's really all about the production. I think I probably talked about this on the album ranking video, but this is one of those that really benefits from production and arrangement, because there's not really much of a song there, but the production and the arrangement just turns it into something that's just absolutely undeniable. I mean, I really have always loved this track ever since I was hearing it on the radio all the time as a kid when it was current. And part of it, admittedly, is the fact that I have so many memories of being a kid and hearing it on the radio. It's a big part of, just sort of those memories of just being, of just the music that played around you on the radio when you were a kid. A lot of these McCartney 70s singles are like that. And yeah, Let 'Em In, I don't know if I can really separate it from that. I feel like I'm almost kind of judging it based on that more than really how good of a McCartney song it is. It just really kind of runs a bit deep for me because it was such a big part of just my years of growing up in the 70s. And yeah, I don't know, I love it. Let 'Em In. Okay, so coming in number 16, Lovin' Song. Yeah, another song from Venus and Mars. Now, this is one of the few tracks, studio tracks, that features Jeff Britton on drums. Jeff Britton was kind of a short-lived drummer in Wings, and he kind of came in and didn't last long, but he ended up being on three tracks on Venus and Mars before they ended up having to replace him with Joe English. And yeah, Lovin' Song is one of those songs that growing up, McCartney got a lot of flack. It was tended to be kind of uncool to like McCartney, and I had friends who were older than I was who really kind of, were kind of scowled about McCartney all the time and were always talking shit about him. And this always kind of, I always thought of this as being like a really good example of a song that they probably would hate. And I almost, yeah, but I've always loved this song. I think this is just one of McCartney's great 70s ballads, really. I mean, I almost feel like this could have been a really great single. It was a B-side. It was the B-side of, what was the B-side of? Listen to What the Man Said. Yeah, and I don't know, it's kind of a deep cut. If you haven't heard the Venus and Mars album, and that's a deep cut I definitely recommend. Lovin' Song, love it. Okay, so number 15, Arrow Through Me. Yeah, I'm finally getting away from Venus and Mars and Speed of Sound. Yeah, Arrow Through Me is a really, really great late 70s R&B flavored track that I've always loved. And it kind of sits in its own place in the McCartney catalog. There aren't really a lot of songs, there aren't a lot of McCartney songs that sound like this. There are a lot of songs that kind of sound like that because he kind of was going for a bit of a popular pop vibe at the time. But man, I think he did it so well. I mean, what a great, just like, the sort of electric piano, kind of groovy and kind of mellow and soulful. Yeah, one of my favorites, Arrow Through Me. Okay, so coming to number 14, Silly Love Songs. Yep, I have Silly Love Songs on my list, that's right. Now, back in the day, this was sort of like the go-to track to make reference to when you wanted to talk about how supposedly lame McCartney was in the 70s. And I remember being vaguely ashamed of liking it, but I've always liked it. I always have. I think I probably went through a period when I was a teenager where I probably made some snide comments about it too, because, I was trying to be cool. But you know what? I've always fucking loved this track. And I especially really kind of hit the point of no return with this, where it was like, yeah, you know what? This track is great. The moment that I really listened to the bass, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was this moment probably in the 80s or 90s, I don't remember when, where I suddenly really paid attention to the bass, and I was like, damn. And he plays that and he sings at the same time. Badass track, great song, Silly Love Songs. Okay, so coming to number 13, Call Me Back Again. Yeah, oh man, Call Me Back Again from the Venus and Mars album. Now, this is it's a very Oh Darling-ish kind of track in a way, kind of a mellow R&B song, where he has like some pretty good screaming vocals on it as well, and it's just, I think it's a really, really underrated McCartney track, and this was definitely one of my favorite songs on Wings Over America. Yeah, that side 2 of Wings Over America was my favorite side when I was growing up. I pretty much, that whole side was just like wham, bam, bam, bam for me. And so it was really fun to finally hear the studio version of it. At first, I didn't like it as much. Actually, I think even now, I probably still don't like it as much as that live version. But it's an undeniable song, and even the studio version is an undeniable track. Call Me Back Again is a badass McCartney tune. Thank you. Okay, so coming to number 12, Take It Away. Yeah, from the Tug of War album. This is, spoiler alert, this is the only non-70s song on this whole list. Yeah, well, on the top 20 list. I had an 80s song on my runners-up. But, yeah, this is the only non-70s song on this list. And it's not because I don't love later songs. There are definitely songs, there are songs from the last 10, 20 years that I really loved. Songs from Memory Almost Full and obviously Flaming Pine stuff that I would love to put on this list. But in the end, as much as I love those songs, I can't put them above these 70s songs. I mean, really, in the end, these 70s songs are going to be the ones that are the best. But big exception being Take It Away, okay? And this song, I always liked it, but I don't think I liked it as much when it was new as I do now. This is a song that I've grown to love more and more and more over time. And there's a little bit of nostalgia in it, but Take It Away has definitely always been my very favorite McCartney 80s song. And for sure, I mean, I really, really especially love the sort of minor key. Well, I guess it's the verses. Lonely driver out on the road. I always think of that as a bridge, but I think that's actually the verse, because it's one of those songs that begins with the chorus and then goes into the verse. Yeah, I really love that with like the vocal pads underneath. It's kind of like that McCartney and Linda together, kind of ooh. Yeah, love that so much. Yeah, Take It Away, one of my very favorite McCartney tracks. Okay, it's coming to number 11. Getting Closer, yeah, from the Back to the Egg album. Oh man, what a great, just rock and roll, power pop, guitar rock track. I mean, this is like a balls out rocker, and it's definitely one of Paul McCartney's, well, probably just about my favorite, one of my very favorite flat out rockers from McCartney. I mean, now supposedly, from what I've read, he actually wrote and demoed this as early as 1973. Man, I don't know how a song like this just sits around for that long, but man, and this was actually released as a single at the time and inexplicably went nowhere. That I don't get, because I think this track is stellar. Absolutely stellar. If you haven't heard it, and you've all heard about how terrible Back to the Egg is and all that stuff, whatever. Listen to this song. Fantastic, balls out rocker from McCartney. Getting Closer. Alright, so now we are in the top 10. My top 10 favorite Paul McCartney post-Beatles tracks. Now, coming in number 10. Every Night. Yeah, Every Night from the McCartney album, from the debut solo album. Now, this is one of those McCartney tracks that I could easily hear as a Beatles track, or as a Beatles song. The old Had the Beatles Made a 1970 album. Yeah, this certainly would have to have been on that album. It could just so easily be on the next Beatles album. That's probably one of the reasons why I love it. But it's one of those really just kind of breezy, effortless, just great McCartney tracks. I mean, that just works so well. You could just tell that this song just flowed right out of him without any effort whatsoever. Yet at the same time, it doesn't sound tossed off. Like it really has. I don't know. I love this song so much. Every Night. Okay, so coming to number 9, Band on the Run. Yeah, oh man, what a song, what an album, what a song. Man, this song was ubiquitous in the mid-70s, and the album came out about 3 days, it was 3 days before my 4th birthday. Yeah, 3 days before my 4th birthday. And I knew of the album when it was current because it was around. It was just one of those albums that everybody had, and I had one at my disposal to listen to, and so I got really familiar with the album when it was current. And unlike Venus and Mars and Wings at the Speed of Sound, which I talked about, I didn't have those when they were current, because my aunts and uncles, who were teenagers at the time, and the adults around me, nobody had those albums, so I didn't have access to them. This album I did, but the singles on this, Band on the Run and Jet and all that kind of stuff, were just, not only was I hearing them on the album, but yeah, like I said, they were ubiquitous out just in the world and on the radio, and it was just, These are the very this is the very sound of growing up in the 70s, pretty much, the Band on the Run singles, and I will forever love these songs. Band on the Run. All right, so coming in number 8, Jet. Yeah, Jet, also from Band on the Run, another one of those huge singles from Band on the Run. Yeah, I like this one just a little bit more than Band on the Run, and I kind of always have. This is just, like I said about Band on the Run, this is just one of those songs that was just wafting through the air in the 70s. I mean, like, you could not avoid it, but I always loved it. And this song, I think when I was a kid, even when I was a little kid, I detected there was a sexiness to this track that I was detecting, but I was too young to really be able to articulate that or to really understand that that's what it was. But yeah, there's just really, this song just really kind of grooves and has a sexiness to it, and it's another great McCartney rocker. I mean, Jet, what a badass track that is. All right, it's coming in at number 7, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Yeah, now this is definitely one of those songs that I could imagine being a Beatles track. Had the Beatles made a 1971 album, surely this would have been one of the tracks on the album, and surely John would have hated it. And in fact, he did hate it, and so do Tommy and Crystal. If you people who watch the Albums of the Year series and the Singles of the Year series, Tommy and Crystal hate that song. Well, they're wrong. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely always love this track from the great Ram album, in case you don't know, but I bet you do. Yeah, I mean, I remember this song. I remember it from when I was a kid. I remember it being on the radio, and it was always a little bit of it was always kind of weird. It was weird and quirky and goes on all these different little tangents, but it always had a dreamy quality, a dreamlike quality, and I'm a sucker for the dreamlike qualities there. And yeah, it's really kind of all about the floatiness of those dreamier sections that really elevates this track and makes it an all-timer for me. Yeah, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Okay, coming in number 6, Let Me Roll It. Yeah, Let Me Roll It from the Band on the Run album, the last track on side 1. Side 1 of Band on the Run, an absolutely perfect album side. You could not improve on that. I can't see how he could have made that, even one note of side 1 of that album, any better than it is. And this is the closing track on that side, and I've loved this track from the first time I ever heard it. I remember being a 4-year-old kid hearing the song for the first time, and it was just immediately like, damn, wow, what a track. And of course, as we all know, like, that riff is definitely McCartney kind of trying to do a Lennon kind of vibe, and doing it so well, because McCartney is an underrated guitar player. McCartney, in fact, is the best guitar player in the Beatles, in my opinion. I think not just as a rhythm player, but as a soloist, absolutely. I really would wish there was some more McCartney lead on those Beatles records. But yeah, but Let Me Roll It. I mean, kind of, slow, but kind of heavy at the same time, and of course dreamy. And yeah, just such a kick-ass track. Let Me Roll It. All right, it's coming to number 5. Letting Go. Now that's the closing track on side 1 of Venus and Mars, and man, this is absolutely one of my favorite McCartney tracks. I mean, this one is one that I love so much that it would rival most of his Beatles songs, and it's simultaneously earthy and dreamy, and very moody, and this is possibly the warmest production I have ever heard, and it's so effective, and another one of those songs that came out as a single but flopped. Now, I don't know if I could say that's inexplicable, because I'm not really sure if it's single material, but as far as McCartney tracks are concerned, I mean, I have it at number 5. So there you go, Letting Go. All right, it's coming to number 4, Bluebird. Oh my God, Bluebird. I love this track so much. Another one of those incredible track from the perfect side 1 of Band on the Run. This is track number 3, and it's breezy and dreamy. Breezy and dreamy, and it has that amazing Howie Casey sax solo on it, and just the vocals, and it's just the whole vibe of this track is just exactly it's musical manna for me personally, and yeah. It's an easy number 4. It begs to be even higher on this list, but my top 3, whew, yeah, but Bluebird, love this fucking song so much. it's coming in number 3. My Love. Oh, My Love, man, what a track, gorgeous, dreamy as always, dreamy as all get out, and yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those songs that takes me back. It's one of those tracks that never fails to take me back to when I was a little kid, because I was 3 when this came out, and, you know, you heard it on the radio all the time, and it's just those early childhood memories are kind of a bit ethereal and dreamy to begin with. They're just this otherworldly kind of vibe to childhood memories, and then you have a track like this, song like this being part of the soundtrack of that. Man, I mean, I remember being with my mom one day. She was shopping. I don't know if she was buying shoes or what. Like, she was clothes shopping. I remember being in, I think, a take 2. I remember being in a shoe store and, you know, just standing there as a 4-year-old kid, being very, very bored and not very patient. But this song came on the radio inside the store, and it was just this instant, like, warm bath kind of vibe. Like, oh, like it instantly was like, it's like taking a lizard and rub its belly. You know, you take a lizard and you rub their belly, and they're just like, that's how this song is for me. Like, no matter what's going on, if this song comes on, it's just like, oh, okay, everything's okay. Yeah, I love this song to death. My Love. Alright, it's coming in at number 2. Listen to What the Man Said. Oh, yeah, this, oh my god, this one really just like goes like this with my number 1. But my number 1 is definitely the number 1. But this song, oh my god, you know, it's like, it's kind of simultaneously buoyant and poppy, but also dreamy. Drink. Yeah, again, it's that dreamy vibe of being 5-6 years old in the 70s and hearing this on the radio. And I really love a track like this because it's easy to make a ballad dreamy. You know, My Love has that sort of floating on a cloud vibe, but to have a track that's really, really exuberant and upbeat, still kind of have that same sort of floating on a cloud quality that this track does, oh man, that does something to me. I love this track so much, and I really love the Tom Scott sax solo, which, by the way, he did more than one take, but they actually ended up using his first take because they mic'd him up, and he kind of was doing a run-through, and they let him do other takes, but I mean, when at the end, they were like, no, that run-through, you nailed it. Yeah, so that was his first go-through on the track, and he just absolutely nailed it. One of my favorite tracks of the entire 70s. One of my favorite McCartney tracks, period, Beatles or no. Listen to What the Man Said. Okay, it's coming in number 1. I bet you could probably guess what it is, because I think a lot of people would probably agree with this. Yeah. My number 1, Maybe I'm Amazed. Yeah, Maybe I'm Amazed. From the McCartney album. Now, talk about a song that was just screaming to be a Beatles track. I mean, there needed to be a new 1970 Beatles album just so they could do this song. I mean, could you imagine? I can't even imagine. Now, I first knew the song, of course, like a lot of the tracks that I've been talking about, from Wings Over America, and this was by far my favorite track on that live album. And it's really... oh man, I really love both versions. When I was a kid and I first heard this studio version, I didn't like it at all. It was all about the live Wings Over America version. But I really came over time to appreciate the studio version, and I think it's absolutely stunning. It's a stunning song. Everything about it is amazing, and I think this is possibly my favorite McCartney song of all time, period, even over all of his Beatles songs. At very least, I would say it's maybe top 3. Now, I haven't actually, gone through all the songs and, officially decided, what's the best or whatever, or what this might be above or whatever, but I'm pretty sure there's a good chance that this could be my very, very favorite McCartney song, period. I mean, it's a stunning piece of work, and what are you going to say? I mean, maybe I'm amazed. There you go. Number 1. All right, so there you go. That's my top 20 favorite McCartney tracks post-Beatles. And yeah, thanks for watching. And thank you for everybody who's been watching the videos and the people who have subscribed. But if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, click the little bell because you're going to want notifications. And we'll come back on Thursday because Tom, Yvonne Voight, and Crystal Durand are going to be back, and we're going to continue our Albums of the Year series. And this week we're doing 1970. Yeah, 1970, the year that Maybe I'm Amazed came out. And yeah, well, do come back for that. And all right, happy birthday, Paul McCartney, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, it's coming in. Yeah. Time to drink. Baby, won't you let me have a little time to drink?